Hi, this is Coach John, and this video is going to be about sacrifices, combinations, tactics, specifically dealing with the Yellow Book, which is a starter book that I have most of my private students start. And it's not uncommon for kids to struggle when you get to the Checkmates in 3. Basically, this is what, after completing the Checkmates in 3 section and completing the whole book, you oftentimes are around the 1,000 level. And it can be very challenging. One, you have to become better at notation, and two, you have to visualize, making the moves ahead. So the first thing we know at this point when we get to the checkmates and threes is there's no different than checkmates and ones and twos. We start with all the checks. So here you would look at this puzzle and you would say, okay, well, we got knight to here, we got knight to here, and we got rook to here. And you know, um, if you look at, for example, knight to here, then you realize after pawn takes, you still would have to do another sacrifice. Then after that takes, pawn takes. Um, I don't think it's going to be checkmate. So instead, you probably should come up, knight to here blocks the rook, so that's not going to be good. So you should be drawn to this move, rook takes. And, when you play rook takes, then you should visualize that pawn takes, right? Because the knight protects here, so the king can't take. And the importance of this is it clears this rank here. In fact, let me put that here. Clears the rank. Oops. Clears the rank. So now the king can't escape. And once again, we don't want to move the pieces ahead. We want to visualize it. So rook takes, pawn takes, and the rook stops him from there. Now we're left once again with checks. And it just so happens that it has to be sacrifices again. Now knight takes, pawn takes, and there's nothing. But after knight goes here, the pawn would take. The king has no moves because this rook stops him here. So then we come up with pawn to here. Check. And we'll see it. So takes, here, forced, checkmate. So that's the first puzzle in the Checkmates in 3 on page 101. And if you want, follow along. And by the way, so for the next problem, let's go ahead and, I want you now to, to pause it here. If you want, look at the puzzle and try to solve it yourself. I'll now go into the solution. So here, rook takes is a first thing that jumps out to people. They often look at rook takes, but then rook takes, and then how are you going to check them again? Well, then you would have to play like knight to here, and you can't take the rook back. So you should dismiss that after realizing it. Then we come up with this move, knight to h6. So a really good move. The pawn can't take because the king would be in check. So he's forced into the corner. One move. When the king only has one move, that's a good sign. So now the king goes in the so knight h6, king goes in the corner. Then we come back, we take the rook for free. Check. Then the king goes back, and now we can play rook takes g7 because the rook's no longer there. Check, here, 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 checkmate. Pretty straightforward. Next one. Now let's look at the position. So we look at it. All right, we got to do checks. Well, if we did a move like knight takes here, it's not a check. Sure, we'd be threatening checkmate because it's not a check. I can just block like this. That's why we should see that queen takes is the only move in the position. But more importantly, I know from solving these puzzles that these guys love for you to sacrifice your queen. So for me, it's natural just to look first, oh, let's give my queen away. That's kind of how I think. So queen takes here, discover check. The rook discovers the check on the king. If the king goes g6, then knight to e7 check. If the king goes to g8, then still knight to e7. All right, once again, pause the video if you want to solve this position right now. Give me a second. I'm now going to give you the solution. All right, so we got to find the checks. Rook here. All right, maybe some stuff would happen, but always look at what black can do just to end your threats. If rook here, then black can just play queen takes, knight takes, king takes, and you're not going to checkmate me in 3. You won my queen, but so what? I'm going to keep playing. I'm going to spoil your fun. Knight to f6, the pawn could take. All right. Then we come up, knight to take c7 should be a natural move because it forks the king and rook. So after knight to c7, the king is forced to go to here to f8 because the queen is protecting this square. Now the queen's, now the knight's stop it. So then we only have one check in the position pretty well. We have 2 checks. We can play knight to here and then bishop takes, and that's no good. But we have queen check. The bishop is forced to take. It's a sacrifice. But then the knight protects this square, which leads to the rook coming here for checkmate. So here, here, checkmate. All right. Once again, pause the video if you want to solve the puzzle. So here, knight takes, check. We could go queen takes queen, but after pawn takes, knight takes, the idea is that with bishop takes queen, bishop here, checkmate. But after queen takes, pawn takes, knight to here, the king can step up to avoid the checkmate. So instead, we have to start with knight takes, then bishop takes, then queen takes, and pawn takes is forced because if he can't move anywhere. And then our bishop comes here, and basically it's a 2-bishop checkmate. So check, here, check, here, checkmate. This is a very common motif, and it happens out of the queenside castle. Oftentimes kids fall in love with castle and queenside. It can be very interesting and dynamic, but it's also much weaker than castle and kingside because this extra pawn over here that's not protected. So check, here, here, checkmate. You'll see this a couple of times in your life if you continue with chess. Lastly, once again, pause the video. This is the 6th problem on page 101. Here we should, we look at it, well, we could play rook takes, and then king takes, and then he'll be able to escape. So oftentimes we want to keep him into a confined spot. So we could try to set up some sort of nasty discover attack with bishop to here, but the problem is he just goes queen down. That's why we always got to do a check. So rook to g8, and now if rook takes, then we play bishop check, and the rook blocks, and then the rook comes down here for checkmate. So here, here, check, here, checkmate. If he takes with the king, check, here, oops, checkmate. All right, boys and girls, this is some tactics. I know these puzzles can be challenging, so I'm going to start doing a video series on this to help you guys, give you that little extra effort to get you through that hurdle so that you can all become 1,000 rated players as quick as possible. This is Coach John, and I'll see you at the tournaments. Bye.